All right, everyone. So today we're starting to, last module was about just even getting the world to work in your headset. This week is about, or this module is about learning the basics of how to set up Unity to allow for the various components that work with VR. Okay. So we talked last class about how to set up your document. That included going under your project settings, making sure that the XR plugin is turned on and that Android is there and it's set to Oculus. We also talked about going to the package manager. And if you haven't already, installing the XR interactive toolkit. Okay. And if you haven't done that, or if you don't remember that, I really recommend that you go back to the last module where I talk about that. For today's class, for today's module, under the package, um, there's something called samples. Okay, these are some files that you can take advantage of. And we're actually going to use some of the files that are built into it under starter assets. So what I recommend that you do, you don't need it for the first exercise, but for the second exercise, make sure that this is installed, okay? And what this does is this comes with a lot of pre-built stuff. Some of it is code. Some of it is actually some presets for setting up code that corresponds to setting up your controllers and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that we can't do it ourselves. It's just that this is already done. So, why not take advantage of it? So all you got to do is under the, you can search for this under your, this is my project. And, I can find this by dragging this out. So you want to find XR Toolkit. I've already installed it for you guys for this, but in case, go under samples and then download starter assets. And I recommend that you do this for your own projects, so you can take advantage of some of these pre-built stuff. All right, so this is the first world, and all I have right now is I have this scene and I have three objects. I have a little unicorn, an astronaut, and a kind of a Godzilla type character over here. And then I have a camera. Okay. And this is what it looks like through the camera. Now, if you were to go and build this and, go to open scene list and add in this current scene, which is exercise 1, and then go back to here. Oops, I did not mean to do that. And go to build and run. And, we talked about this before where what I would do is you build it. I would give it a name. This is going to build your APK file. So I could call it, exercise 1. That would actually build an APK file that'll get stored somewhere. You can put it in the project folder for now, although eventually when you guys do bigger projects, I want you to give me your APK file because I can actually then run the world on my headset, or we can give it to students and they can run it on their headset. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. A couple weeks from now, we're going to do what's called side questing or side jacking, where we take APK files that other people have produced and we can load them directly into this into your headset via another program called SideQuest. But anyway, you do need to build an APK file and then it would build. Now, what would happen, and I have a little video, I believe, that will show this, is when you turn your head, it doesn't work in 3D space. Like when you turn, it works the way if I took my phone and I just like looked at a video and I did this. It doesn't change 3D space. It just moves the image along with wherever you're looking, right? And that's not what we want.
All right. So what I did here, this is exercise 1. And if you just, were to export it to your headset the way I've done here, you'll notice when I turn my head, it is moving, like the image is moving, but I'm not seeing a different scene. Like I can't look behind me. I can't look in front of me. I can't look up. I can't look down. Okay. So this is what happens when your device is not tracking your head. What should happen is if I move up, I should be seeing the sky. If I look down, I should be looking at the ground. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in the tracked pose, and that's going to allow us to do this. Okay.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take the camera here and we're gonna add a component. Okay, now the first component I'm gonna teach you guys is what's called the tracked driver pose. And what you can do is once you actually have the XR interaction toolkit, you're gonna get a bunch of files. And I could go into here, and I believe it's under, where is it under? Runtime. Tracked. No, give me 1 second. I'm actually going to show you a better place, but I just wanted you to show you that the code is in the packages that you downloaded when you downloaded this. All right, actually, the package is under XR Legacy, under runtime, under track pose driver, and then it looks kind of like this. I'm going to show you a much easier way to. So this is where the actual, you can see that when you click on this, it's actually just a bunch of code. It's a bunch of C#. I'm not going to go over this kind of stuff right now, but it's just a bunch of code that we can take advantage of. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the camera. And I could just drag this to the camera, or I could drag it over there. Another way to do this is just adding component. And then you can actually use the built-in search feature here. And I'm going to do tracked pose driver. Okay. And actually, I accidentally gave you the old system. This is the original track pose driver. And what it actually does is this is what figures out where you're looking, and it figures out like where your head is going. So essentially, when they talk about pose source and they talk about like center eye and this kind of stuff, and they're talking about tracking rotation and position, they're actually using your eyes. And so when your eyes like move back and forth, they need to move the scene back and forth. Or if you literally, there's a tracker in the headset that if you do this, it will figure out that you've moved your head X number of degrees. And so that's actually how it relays that information to the camera. So in other words, if my eyes look down, even if I'm not moving my head, my eyes can move up and down. It would relay that information to the camera to look up or down. If I were to physically move my head X number of degrees, it would relay that information to the camera to not move the camera forward or backwards, but to at least allow it to pivot. You know what I mean? Now, this is actually the older method. This is useful for, there are some devices I didn't really talk about, and I'm trying to find the device. There's actually devices that are not headsets that actually can figure out things like position and rotation. Actually, your phone can do this. I'm actually using something here called a leap. And it actually can figure out motion. It can figure out whether, I'm rotating it or whether it's up or down. And so this is like an older method that's good for those type of devices. I'm actually going to remove this. We actually want to use a different one called track pose driver input system. Okay. And what we're going to do is this is a better way of doing this. It's a more efficient, or not efficient, but it gets better results. It's more thorough. Okay. So once again, we want to make sure it's set to rotation and position, which means it's tracking the position of our eyes, but also the rotation of our head. And then we need to say, how is it going to figure out the position and how is it going to figure out the rotation? All right. So what I'm going to do is under position, I'm going to click this little plus sign, and we're going to go to add binding. What this means is we're going to tell it what to do. Okay. And what I'm going to do is click on this and under path, oops, what we're saying is what are we going to use to figure out the position? And I want to use we want to go to the headset. So the headset is called the XR HMD. HMD stands for head mounted display. Okay. Also known as a VR headset, something that kind of looks like this, as opposed to like that little leap thing that I had. And what I want to do is I want to use the center eye position. Okay. So what that means is going to figure out the position of us in the world, it's going to figure out based on our eye movement. Okay. For rotation, we're going to do the same thing too. We're actually going to use our eyes. And by moving our eyes, it's going to figure out rotation. So I'm going to click under rotation input. I'm going to click plus, add binding, which means we're adding some sort of action or input. In this case, the input is the movement or the tracking of our eyes or the movement of our eyes. I'm going to hit plus and oops, I'm going to double click and we're going to set this to once again to the controller, and we're going to use center eye rotation. Okay. So what I would do now is, save what you got and then go back and build this. Okay. And when you run it again, run that world in your headset. And what you're going to see is when you view the world, you should be able to turn your head forward, backwards, up and down, and the view should change. Okay. You should be able to look at various things and just, you won't be able to physically move forward, backwards, left, or right. That's coming in the next exercise, but you will be able to move the headset around. Okay. So try that out, see if you can, do that and get the world to work. And that's all based on this tracked pose driver. And the point of it, like I said, is that essentially what it's doing is tracking your eye movement in the headset and giving that information to Unity so that it can figure out how to move around.
All right, everyone. So this is exercise one, and you're not going to be able to use your controllers because we haven't set those up yet. But you will notice that if I turn my head, I can actually change the viewport. So when if I look to the right, I can see the uh, dinosaur there. If I look to the left, I can see the unicorn. And if I look to the straight, you can see the astronaut. Okay, so that is the tracked input or tracked pose driver. Okay.